Hey, this is Mr. Drogemeyer. Thanks for joining me for our Algebra 1 lesson videos. Today we're looking at Unit 2, Lessons 4 and 5 in that unit talk about products of real numbers. In our last video, our last lessons, we were talking about the sums of real numbers. So when we add uh, these different types of numbers together. And in that video, I went through kind of the different classifications that we have for the numbers. And so if you haven't watched that, I would suggest you watch that one first just to help understand where these different classifications come from and what they're made up of. And we also talked about this concept of closure. So when we have a set of numbers, if we say it's closed for an operation, so example here, we're talking about multiplication, we're talking about products. So if I say that the set of integers is closed for multiplication, that means that if I multiply two integers together, then their product or that result of that multiplication is also going to be an integer. So, and that's what the definition here is saying, that if I multiply two elements of that set together, the product or the result is also going to be an element of that set. So as an example, integers are closed for multiplication. If I have two integers, and remember that's a positive or negative whole number. So if I say take -3 and I multiply it by +4, those are both integers. When I multiply those together, my product is -12. -12 is also an integer. And so this is just one example. Your lesson goes through and proves some of these things out. But so we know that integers are a closed set in terms of multiplication. So our next question then is, how about rational numbers? Would they be a closed set? So we said rational numbers are going to be any number that I can write as a fraction. So just as an example here, if I take 1/2 and I multiply it by, let's say, 1/6, those are both rational numbers. They're both fractions. If I multiply these together, 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 6 is 12. My product or my result is 1/12, which is also a rational number. And so what we'll find is that rational numbers are also a closed set when we talk about multiplication. The other couple other places we'll go in this particular lesson. So this was integers. This is rational numbers. If we do irrational numbers, if I multiply one irrational number times another irrational number, we'll find that it's also going to be a closed set. So irrational times irrational always gives me an irrational number. And then the other part of this lesson that they go into is talking about, well, what if we multiply a rational number times an irrational number? So, and they go through the proof of this in your lesson. But just as an example, if I take, let's say I take 2, which is a rational number, and I multiply it by pi, which is an irrational number. Well, for pi, this is going to equal 2 pi. And if you take 2 times pi, you're going to still get a long irrational number. So anytime that we are multiplying a rational number times an irrational number, you're always going to get an irrational product. So just some different things that we want to know, just some kind of basics of algebra that help us as we start to work through these different types of numbers and operations with them. That's all I've got for you today. As you work through these lessons, hopefully this helps to clarify some of those things, but if you do have other questions, please let me know. Thanks. Have a great day.